You're very welcome along to podcast number 2 live in the Foundry. We're delighted to be joined here today by Jen Payne.
Thanks for having me.
So, for anybody who's listening, you should be able to notice that the sound is significantly better than last week. That is thanks to our brand new sound engineer, DJ Snoop.
Whoop, whoop.
You can you can get him on Instagram at DJ Snoop_Ireland. That's how grateful we are for the sound. So the issues last week was myself, Dano and Ray didn't have a clue what we were doing sound-wise.
Cowboy job.
Snoop had to listen to it and was able to come in and help it out, so we're very grateful for that. And we're very grateful to have Jen
Thanks
all the way down from Naas, who's going to be helping us out. So the first thing we want to know with Jen is, for anybody who wouldn't know who you are or what you play or anything else. So how did you get into DJing? We asked John last week when he was younger, what music did he listen to and how he got into DJing. So obviously you're a bit younger than John. So when you were a bit younger, it would have been a lot of different music. So when you were a young girl coming home from school, what did you throw on?
Well, my mum mainly listened to 90s dance, so a lot of 90s dance. Used to listen to Jenny Green, the Electric Disco. So that was a big genre that I was into. Then about getting into music, it was when I finished school, I went to college to study fitness therapy, aerobics to music. So there was one module in it that was with BPM. The higher the BPM, the faster the workout. The slower the workout. And then they talked about how a track can change after 8 bars, 16 bars or something. And I was I'm more interested in that. So I finished that course and went and studied music for 2 years.
Where did you study music?
I studied it in IADT and then in the Sound Training Academy in Temple Bar.
And it was always DJing from there on?
No, it wasn't DJing, it was production. I never really had any interest in DJing until 2 years ago. I used to go out to the clubs a lot and bars with all the girls and just get drunk and go home. Never had any interest or known what DJ life was. I'm so nervous now, my voice is shaking.
You're grand. What age were you then when you did start kind of the transition from production into DJ?
It was 2 years ago. It wasn't really a transition at all. It was just I finished that course and then I was just working in a bar and going out at night. And then one night in a club in Naas, I was looking at the DJ and I was oh, I'm interested to learn what he's doing. So I just asked him to teach me, and then it was Dara, who you guys
Dara,
know.
yeah, we know Dara.
And then he gave me my first gig at a teen disco, so I went from there.
How was the first gig? Did you have any nerves then, it seems to be having now?
Yeah, I played 2 songs, yeah. I sweated a ton.
And so something that obviously is different from Dano and Ray, which they can talk about now as well. So do you think there's more challenges for, say, a young female DJ starting out than a young male DJ? Or did you come across any kind of different obstacles on the way?
It's always hard to get gigs, I think. You really have to have connections and really have to beg for them and harass people. So I harassed Dara to get me gigs, and that's how I met these two. And I played in the Foundry after that. Oh, I was harassing your man from Sneaky Sessions, Darren, from Tully's. So then when I was playing in Tully's, he messaged me then and he was I'll come down and check you out. And then, I don't know actually did he come, but I ended up getting a warm-up gig for Tough Love down here. So that was cool.
Which is only on Rag Week.
Yeah.
I suppose with the way gigs are going, I suppose John said last week as well, he was kind of saying I think that the majority of gigs that you get or whatever that, it's actually about being sound. Do you know what I mean? It's about being sound to people. It's about not having an ego. It's about having confidence in what you do as well, and I think seeing what Jen has brought to the table, we had you in Wednesday of Rag Week as well. Remember we had you in the Tower as well, and for somebody who's only DJing 2 years, you wouldn't notice any difference from somebody who's been doing it years. Do you know what I mean? So you've obviously put a lot of time and practice into it as well. Yeah.
So Dano, you're DJing a while in comparison. So what were you 2 years into your DJing career? What were you up to?
Well, I started off. I started off in the Emigrant Bar in Athy. It was a disco bar. One Friday, the manager or the owner rang me and said there was no DJ. Do you want to DJ tonight, like, you know. And I was thinking it was like 17 at the time, 18 at the time. So I thought I knew everything, but that night taught me a lot. I went home from school that day, Friday. I skipped the last 3 classes, went down and downloaded a load of music onto the CD.
Straight off LimeWire.
LimeWire, yeah.
LimeWire, Jesus Christ.
Everybody knows about LimeWire, and if you say you don't, you're lying. So I went up onto LimeWire, downloaded like 4 CDs to get me going for the night, and it ended up doing well, like, you know. And after that, then I suppose, like John, I was doing a lot of weddings and 21st and any party. I think I'd done a 90th birthday party. That was the highlight of my career. But it's just anything that came my way. That's what I was doing, and kind of took off from there. It took me a long time to get into other clubs around or pubs around the place. It was just a tie that I was based in, and Ray was the same as well. It was only in the last couple of years where we kind of, you know, we broke into like Carlow, and there was a club up in Dublin as well. Like, you know,
Sligo and Waterford.
Waterford as well. Yeah, it takes a long time. It takes a long time, but you know, all the gigs that we've done up to now, like the 21st, like the 90th birthday party, you learn a lot, like about crowds, how they go, how they move, and you know, their psyche of, you know, how to control that dance floor, really, you know. And that's what kind of stood to us now. That's what stands to us now, that if you have a full dance floor, you know how to work it. Do you know what I mean?
But that must come from just the fact that 2 years with Jen, the career you've picked up already, obviously comes from an improving night scene in Ireland. Like, say, 10 years ago when you were starting out, we were kind of fresh out of recession. Probably people weren't going out as much. Whereas now, I think there's a huge club scene in Ireland. There's a huge club scene in Carlow.
Yeah, there is. I suppose when I started out, it was 2007. So 17. So it was only coming into recession. Like, I remember the pubs were full on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they were open those 4 or 5 nights, and it was crazy times. But then, like you said, the recession hit then, and just the gigs started drying up, and that's when, you know, the parties came in. Your 21st, your weddings, they're the bankers. They're always happening no matter what, like, you know. So
yeah, so obviously, Dano, you started out, and Ray, you'd be more on the commercial side of it, and Jane, you obviously would have gone into the house techno, kind of funky side of it as well. So what do you think are kind of the differentiating factors in an influence? Do you think it's just taste of where you end up as a DJ?
No,
and what
I think it's more generation. Kind of nowadays, people are starting off and going into the house techno side. There's very few commercial DJs around, like, at the moment, isn't there? Then
yeah, well, like
a lot of DJs who are starting with that scene. They're not starting with the charts, the stuff that we do.
Yeah, a lot of people are starting with techno and kind of house and stuff like that. But yeah, like, I grew up listening to, I think Scooter was my first album, like, you know, and I kind of just progressed into all that kind of dance, then EDM, and then obviously with the weddings, birthday parties and all that, you have to go commercial, and then oldie stuff as well. So like, there's a good wide range of music that I would have used as well in those gigs, you know. So like, it varies. It, like I said, it depends on the crowd. Whatever they're feeling, we'll play it, like, you know.
So when you started, Jen, like, so in the 2 years you've been at it, do you think your sound or your style has changed from when you first started, or what you thought you would be DJing, or do you reckon you're kind of exactly playing what you thought you would always be playing?
I think I'm playing like similar enough stuff to when I first started. It was always kind of house, like never too heavy. Like, I'm not a big fan of techno. Might get a lot of hate for saying that, but so it's mainly house and tech house. And then I do like pop, like everyone loves a little sing along. So throw in the odd like pop vocal over a house beat, and it sounds real good. Like Khalees Milkshake, one of my favourites to play, and literally the beat of it is so good too. Like, mash it with anything and put the vocal on top of any house track.
We had, just when you say Khalees there, we had this last week with the lads as well. So have you ever played, like, when you're starting out, obviously there's a lot of trial and error with being a DJ. When you first started, did you ever clear a dance floor?
Oh yeah. Yeah, loads.
With what song? Set us up with the scenario. Give us the story.
So like, when I find like new music online and stuff, and I get it, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna try this on the dance floor, and then you're like, this is so good, here we go, play. Dance floor's empty. I'm like, oh great, let's just move it quickly along. I don't know what tracks it was. I feel like I can't really name out tracks and say that cleared the dance floor, but...
And does it work? Is it like, I've obviously never DJed, but is it like a kick in the teeth when somebody leaves the dance floor, or is it like, right, that's wrong, learn from it, pick it up, let's get a better track, or are you just like,
I know
oh,
when
for
I go
fuck's
ahead
sake?
and play something a bit risky that I like, I'm like, right, this might not work, but here we go. So for the 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes it's on, you're like, is it working, is it not?
I find the risk pays off sometimes though, because me and the two lads we did a Project X night in November.
Yeah, I remember that.
Which
that
was
good.
early November, and it was kind of the first gig that I'd promoted specifically for them. And then we came up, and I was going around with the camera, and I was in the DJ box, and Dano leans in and whispers to me, "Will we get away with a Christmas song?"
I remember that. All I want for Christmas. I dropped a new hit.
Honest to God. And then I was like, I don't know. I don't know, man. I looked at the watch to get the date, and I was like, it's only the 5th of November. I don't know. And he was like, I think we'll get away with a Christmas song. And I was like, right, grand. So I went down the back of the dance floor just to get this reaction. Like, I didn't know what was going to happen on it. And sure enough, Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas comes on. The place goes ballistic, like.
And of course, Dan hides. And leaves me in the middle of it, standing facing everyone, and he ducking down.
But like, I think that all comes back to knowing your crowd on your dance floor. You know, it's like with students, you can play
Whatever.
You could play Bob the Builder out there and they dance to it. Like, do you know what I mean? But at the same time, you don't want to play it for too long either, because you get a lot of backlash. But yeah, it's about knowing your crowd. It's about knowing your song choices as well. Like, you can play something risky, but I think DJs, when they do play something risky, they always have a banker on the next deck that'll bring it back.
I actually remember one risky track that I played. I remember the first time I was going to play it. It was a mashup of Lion King and Fisher Losing It.
Which Lion King song?
I'm not
Well,
saying
Circle of Life.
You know that one.
yeah, that one. Yeah. But it literally like starts off as the Fisher track, I'm losing it, and then it just drops. And there's like 3 seconds of silence, and that's a long time in a nightclub. Everyone just is up looking at you being like, what's happening? But I remember the first time I ever played it, I literally ducked down and I was like, oh, fuck, how's this going to go? And they loved it. And then it just goes, the mania, and then drops into losing it.
Yeah, see, I think the risks do generally pay off. And
So I play it a lot now.
because like, even with risks, I suppose those kind of smaller gigs, 18th, 21st weddings, they're probably good places to try it as well. Because like, if you're at 21st and you play a bad song, like, it's not going to be the end of the world. But kind of, if you clear the Foundry dance floor, they'll remember. Jeez, do you remember when fucking Dano emptied the place? Like, so did you play? I know you said you got your first gig with Dara on the 21st. Did you do much 18th and 21st and kind of parties and stuff?
Any birthdays, weddings like that. I did a lot of teen discos when I started, and then I remember like I did one teen disco, and then I was kind of playing in a pub in Nace just like for a few hours, but like there was no people. I was background music basically. And then I saw Spin 1038 launched a competition to play at Longitude. So I entered that, and then I won it. And I was actually in Spain at the time, so I had to fly home for it. And I was like, right, I can't miss it. So one of my first big gigs was the Desperado stage at Longitude.
So how was that reaction? You're DJ. How long are you DJing at this point?
Maybe 3 months.
So you're DJing 3 months.
Yeah.
And you get an email that you're going to play at Longitude, which is one of the biggest festivals in Ireland.
Yeah, and they emailed me with like what the CDJs were and stuff that I was playing on. And I was like, oh fuck, like I played on Tractor back then. So I was like, Dara, give me your decks to practice on. So I literally practiced on them for like 3 days straight. And then when I got there, I was like, I sweated so much. I'd say I lost like 2 stone up on stage.
How was the reaction like getting that email?
So it was like, I got the email of like all the stuff after, but it was announced on the radio, like Martin Guilfoyle.
Were you listening live?
Yeah, in Spain, up on top of a balcony, yeah.
Went ballistic.
Yeah, jumped in the pool.
But yeah, like the thing about Jen is like I couldn't believe like when she said that she was only DJing 2 years, because like your mixing and stuff like that is 100%, like, you know, and like
Literally
did you
practice so much.
yeah, that's what I was saying. Did you put a lot of practice in, or
from the gigs in the pub, like I saved up on Tractor. I didn't spend any of the money I was getting paid, and then I bought X DJs and bought a second-hand mixer, because I was like, every club has standard CDJs what you're going to play on, so I was like, I need to learn like practice at home to what I'm going to be playing on in the club, hopefully. So I literally just shut myself away.
So you're kind of the exception to the rule of the kind of DJing that you have to do the 18th, 21st, all this kind of things, that you kind of leapfrogged those stages.
Yeah, competitions, like I literally entered.
And
so
obviously
many.
through practice, like you weren't thrown onto longitude and you didn't bomb or anything. Which
No,
is
I
just,
didn't bomb.
which is just purely from practice, like.
Yeah.
Because I would say if you went out into like the IT Carlo DJ Society and you picked a lad who was at it 3 months and threw him on a big stage like that, that they could sink rather than swim.
Like, I definitely fucked up a few times on stage, but I was able to quickly go back and fix them. And then, like, after it, Martin Guilfoyle was there, so I spoke to him a bit, and he was like, I want to take you on board and bring you around as a warm-up DJ. So I did a few gigs with him then after that.
So you got off on the good foot, like, straight away.
Yeah. But then, like, that slowly, it was really good for a few months, and then it slowly declined, and there was a few months where I did nothing. And then a Tomorrowland competition opened up on Mixcloud, so I entered that. And it was about, like, so your mix had to get loads of likes and votes and stuff, so I was sending it to everyone I knew to be like, listen to this, just click the link. So then 10 people were selected after thousands of mixes and flown out to Ibiza. So played in Ibiza on a boat, and I'm also very seasick, so that was not great.
So you're still probably less than a year into your DJing career at this point.
I'd say this is just coming on a year.
Just coming on a year, and you've already hit longitude, and you're out on a boat in Ibiza, gigging.
Trying to shove down the vomit while I'm playing as well, and the sun was beaming in your eyes as well, so you're rocking and trying to read the CDJs. So it was really good though, but sickening at the same time. So then they selected 3 top finalists. I didn't get in it, sadly. I'd say if I worked harder, I would have, but then when they announced the top three were given like main stages in Tomorrowland, and then they said to the 7 of us, we still want you guys to play on the Pepsi stage, which overlooks the whole food court in Tomorrowland, which is, I don't know if you've ever been, but Tomorrowland is literally like another world, so it was packed. It was crazy.
Have you ever been?
No, I've never. It's one on the bucket list.
So talk us through that experience of, you've been selected, you know you're going. Like, did you get on that fucking mental Tomorrowland plane on the way over or anything?
No, when was I? I remember they booked the flights. So I remember when they booked the flight for Ibiza, they booked me to fly to Heathrow and then Heathrow to Ibiza, but they gave me a half an hour like to transfer in Heathrow, and I missed it.
It's a big airport.
Yeah, I missed the transfer because it's only a half an hour, and getting off the plane takes fucking half an hour because they're so slow. But I missed it, and then British Airways had to book me, and they were like, "Oh, but it's in another airport. I think it was an hour away. I can't remember what it was."
Luton or something like that.
No, this is
in Heathrow.
UK.
There's Stan said Luton and Heathrow.
It was in the UK, so they were like, "Your flight leaves in an hour and a half, but you're an hour away from the airport, so you're getting in a taxi right now." So then I got in the taxi, got on the plane, landed in Ibiza. The boot camp had started then for all the contestants, so I was so late, so I literally arrived, and I think I had 10 hours of travel, which was supposed to be 4, so I was wrecked. So I remember when they organised the flights for Belgium, I was like, oh fuck, please, that'd be a direct flight. Like, so when they emailed me the flight pass to Belgium, I was like, thank God. So it was just a standard flight though, Ryanair. Not
Party Central.
Just earphones in on the plane, yeah, that was it.
And then tell us about the gig itself. Or the setup. It must, like, if you were shaking with nerves to do the Foundry podcast before Tomorrowland, you must have been...
I'm nervous for everything.
You must have been rattling, though, going onto the Tomorrowland stage.
I remember I had to mix in over one of the girls who was playing, and I literally just stood there and stared at the deck that I was going to mix in, being like, will I go now? Will I go now? And then someone came up to me and she was like, your time has started, you need to go. Because my name was being displayed on the thing and I wasn't playing anything, I was just standing there reading it. But then I hit play and the nerves kind of went away, but still I'd be like this shaking with the... And
it must have been like a lovely afterglow once you finished the gig and everything.
Oh, once I finished, I got so drunk. It was so great. In Tomorrowland then as well, and it went on till like 1 o'clock, so it was great.
Did I see that you met someone very famous over there when you were doing that?
Fede Legrand.
Yeah,
he was in charge of us.
Was he?
Like, yeah. He that's kind of... he was the the celeb of the competition, who selects it. So he was in Ibiza with us as well. Like, I have a picture of me on my Instagram playing on the boat, and he's right behind me looking at everything I'm doing. So that was scary as well.
Yeah. Best mates with Freddy Legrand.
Freddy Legrand, yeah.
So what we're going to do then is obviously, so the next question that we have, obviously you've answered it with best and worst gigs. I assume the best gig was Tomorrowland, was it?
Yeah, one of the best.
That's how longitude of some gig.
Well, like, that was like the first like proper gig, so I didn't really know what to think of it. I was more like shitting it and trying to get it out of the way.
Snoop absolutely mortified.
Snoop ears pricked up there behind the camera if you could see him.
But playing here was really good too, and I loved playing in the factory in Waterford for a 90s rave. That was really good.
Yeah, so you did play here for Tough Love on Rag Week. Was that your first Rag Week?
Yeah.
How was that experience?
Surreal. I loved it. I loved the club here, and I loved the whole setup, and the way you have your lights guy beside you doing all the lights to the music, like, class.
And then, so the second part of that question is the difference in between it. Like, John Gibbons' best gig last week was in the Praise Secondary School in Carlow, and yours was Tomorrowland.
Tomorrowland, yeah.
And then, worst gig. You don't have to say the name of the club or anything, but just worst gig. What made it bad?
Like, there was loads of bad gigs, like, where no one was there, like, you just background music. But then again, like, you can make the bad into good and be like, I'm gonna whack out a few tracks here that you would never normally play, like. So
yeah, you kind of get a good bit of practice on those.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And get comfortable in it.
And then, so Jen Payne, you're 2 years in now. Longitude, Ibiza on a boat, Tomorrowland, Foundry.
Factory Waterford.
What's next on the list?
To play here again, definitely. To play Factory Waterford again. I'd love Life Fest. I'd love all festivals, like.
Well, kind of once we get through this epidemic at the minute,
I know, yeah.
we can probably get going on that again.
I literally had the most gigs I've ever had, like, just coming up to it before everything shut down. I was like, great.
Yeah, that's kind of happening to everybody. The whole entertainment industry is really getting wrecked. And have you been keeping kind of busy? Have you been doing any streams or anything?
No, I was actually working the first week that we went into lockdown, and then when I finished work, I binged Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. So I only just finished them at the weekend. So yesterday,
aren't they absolutely fantastic?
I loved them. I actually can't wait till Thursday to watch the next episode. But yeah, no, I only sat down at my computer yesterday and decided I'm going to try focus on producing while we have this shut off time from the world.
No, that's kind of the main thing that kind of John Gibbons said last week that people should be doing is pushing their creativity during this time, because there's such a platform to do it at the minute that even things you're not, like, if you're a DJ, try and do a bit of producing, or if you're a producer, try and do a bit of DJing, do a mix, do a live stream, whatever it is you feel that you can do a bit of creativity and push it out with that.
I knew I was thinking it, but I just couldn't step away from Netflix. Like, I couldn't. I was like, I need to watch the next episode.
Well, sure, you were too busy in Tomorrowland and everywhere else to get Netflix over the past 2 years.
I think we have plenty more time to get everything ready again, so.
Yeah, there's definitely a few more shows that you can binge on Netflix before you start, get your streams going.
No, that's it. I've sat down at the computer. I can't go back and watch new shows. On Thursday, I'll give it a break for the new episode of Better Call Saul, but that's it.
Foundry Podcast, promoting Better Call Saul.
I love it.
And so kind of just in DJing, so say, like last week, we had advice for young DJs. Like for you, obviously, you're young or after having major success, and like people could DJ their whole lives and they might never get opportunities that you're like after getting already. So what advice would you have for, say, a younger DJ or even a younger female DJ who probably might even be thinking, oh, sure, I'm only 18-year-old girl, I'm never really going to get into this, it's not my scene. What kind of advice would you have for them to kind of start out and get into it?
Like my route was, right, I'm obviously not going to be able to get gigs by just sending an odd email or meeting people and asking them for gigs. So I was like, right, I need to kind of accomplish something, get a good gig under my belt. So I was like, competitions. So I still do enter competitions. I won one a few weeks ago. What's it called? Slip Back in Time, Old School Ibiza. So it was, I don't know.
You won another one a few weeks ago.
Yeah, to go to Ibiza and play again.
Winning all around.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would definitely
Do you have a specific method for entering these competitions, or is your dad the owner of the competition, or what way is it working?
No, I just literally will re-record myself until I have a perfect mix and then send it in and hope for the best. Listen to it over and over again, harass all my friends to listen to it and like it. Yeah, so I was supposed to go over and play for Slip Back in Time in Ibiza in May. I don't know if it's still going ahead, probably not, but I was looking forward to that.
Well, I was going to say we could probably do a send in your mix competition to the Foundry, but Jen is probably going to win it anyway.
That would be my advice. Competitions,
really,
yeah, you build so much connections from it. Like when the Tomorrowland one, I met 9 other DJs who were taking part of it, and we talk all the time and share all tips and stuff.
So for all the people who did these competitions, like you said, what was it, 10 out of 1,000?
Yeah, it was. I think it was more.
So what would be your advice for the other 990 that didn't get selected to win?
Practice. I think a good thing about what makes good mix then as well is track selection.
Yeah.
You really have to know your tracks and stuff, and practice and see which track would go nicer with this track and all that stuff, or would those tracks go nice on top of each other, all that. Yeah.
And you probably
it takes me so long. Track selection is the longest part of it. Re-recording the mix, even though I do that over and over again, but track selection is a few days for me.
And do you have a particular method, or just onto YouTube, related video?
I have a few tracks that I would always play, so I'd be right, I want to work with them, and then I'd go searching for new music, old music, anything really.
Right, so obviously you're a 25-year-old DJ, so you started at you were 23, so you probably would have been social media savvy when you were starting.
Not really. No, I'm not big into social media. I hate posting pictures as well on Instagram. I always cringe and with captions and stuff. I'm just do it. So I've kind of got better at it, I feel.
Yeah.
But no, I remember I was the last of all of my friends to create an Instagram even. But that's what I feel is the main platform, your Instagram.
As a DJ,
Yeah, for me anyway, it definitely is. Facebook has really just gone down a bit. But yeah, about the competitions, I don't win them all. I do lose a lot too.
So you did lose a competition somewhere along the way?
Lots, yes. Lots of competitions.
So what's your win to loss ratio in these competitions?
I'd say win 3 or 4 and then loss 15 or something. And
is it just DJ competitions you enter, or have you won tickets to Tato Park and stuff along the way as well?
Free hair dryer.
I did win tickets on Spin 1038 5 years ago to Rihanna. That was a good win. Oh, I actually won €200 on McDonald's Monopoly one time as well. That was really good.
And I won the lotto once before.
The biggest win I've won in the lotto was €98.
Bigger
than
than mine.
I've ever got a fiver.
So, with regards to social media, I think we have a chat about it, and especially at this time, we kind of talk about things. Do you ever encounter any of that trolls or negative feedback online, and how do you kind of deal with it? Because I think it's kind of part of the DJ game, or any kind of creative media, putting yourself out there, that you're going to get haters and stuff. How do you kind of deal with it, or do you just block it out completely?
Well, I don't get a lot of much. I don't get a lot of anything on my socials. I don't have that big of a social, so.
Well, you will after this.
This made me. No.
You've never got really negative feedback or anything
never,
like that, no?
No, not yet anyway. Probably loads.
We've got a good bit, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got a good bit, Ray.
Fair share.
but no, we have.
Snoop was after falling off the chair behind the camera laughing.
Snoop's the number one culprit there.
What was the worst that you got?
We just get, I don't know, it's a certain group of people, I suppose. Not going to say any names or anything like that, but you just get dogged for doing what you do, you know what I mean? You just, and I think it's, I don't know, like John said last week, it's their own insecurities coming out on top of us. So they could be DJs, they could be aspiring DJs, I don't know, but we get woeful abuse of them and saying like, you know, you're shit, or you know, you can't DJ, stuff like that. But you know,
I remember thinking like when I was entering competitions and putting my mixes out there that I was like, oh, people are going to be like, why is she entering a competition on age 13? So, but I was like, fuck it, I want it, so just did it. Yeah, you have to put yourself out there, and you know, it is them projecting their own insecurities on top of you, like, you know, and it's like, thank God you haven't got it done. I think you're kind of, I don't know, your goals at the moment for a lot of up and coming DJs, because like 2 years into it, you've been so successful, you've got no online abuse.
Won every competition.
Won every competition going. Yeah, I'm going to actually start abusing you on your Instagram now because I feel a bit bad about that.
Blocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd probably, the title of this podcast will probably be, as John said last week, because after saying it so many times. But so next week, what we'll do is we'll have what Jen said last week. And then massive thanks to Jen for coming down. Huge thank to Snoop. Again, you can get him on Instagram at Snoop Ireland. We're on. We're on, probably the whitest man that's ever done that, ever. We're on Instagram at Foundry Carlo and Student Foundry. Jen, do you want to give your socials a little plug?
At Jen Payne _ on Instagram.
There you go.
And TikTok. Don't forget TikTok.
And we're on TikTok as well at Student Foundry. So we will chat to everyone next week, and don't forget to tune in this Saturday night.
Thanks.
Bye, bitches. Bye, Felicia. Bye.